Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And do you want to main a survival hunter in Midnight? Well, then watching this video before you make that important decision is probably a good idea. I'm going to be breaking down the specialization, everything that's changing, what to expect from it, whether it's performance, whether it's complexity, do you want something simple or something challenging, and basically everything in between, so you've got a really good idea on what you're getting yourself into, what are its strengths, its pros, where it's going to likely be fitting in as far as a niche, everything we're going to be talking about. And if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. The first thing that I wanted to test on Survival Hunter that I'm sure a lot of Survival Hunter players are very excited for is dual wield. So you can see right now I'm currently wearing 2 daggers, and they have itemized a bunch of new melee weapons in order to, categorize themselves to fit for a Survival Hunter to wear it. So you have a completely different kind of attack style, whereas before you could only use the two-handed strikes. All of your spells have been updated visually and modified to be able to incorporate this new dual wield style of play. So if there's ever some type of cosmetic you wanted to make with the Survival Hunter, this is something that you're going to be able to do now that you weren't able to do before. And as far as my testing is concerned, it works totally fine. There are no concerns with that, and we're just gonna reset this. I don't even think this is onto the right data point. Reset this right now. But dual wield, really cool. Cosmetically, flavor there, definitely really cool. Now, complexity, this spec is very simple. Basically, you have a mechanic called Tip the Spear, which is applied when you use Kill Command. So you can see I've got it up here, which will then buff basically any other ability that isn't Kill Command's direct damage. So you want to be spending those Tip the Spear charges and then using Kill Command to give you more of them, and then spending them, and then using Kill Command to get more of them, and then spending them. And that is generally the rotation throughout. Honestly, this rotation is a little bit more complex than others, but it's a lot simpler than it was before because they've pruned a lot of abilities like flanking strike and kill shot and thinking about when you want to time your attacks and the like. So it's actually a lot simpler than it was, but I do think it's still a little bit above some of the other classes that you can kind of more or less just face roll and pretty much get by in almost all situations, whether it's PvE or PvP. But it is significantly lowered from where it was previously. So if you're someone who liked the nuance of Survival Hunter in the War Within, you're likely going to feel like something has been lost as far as your ability to be stylistic with it, or feel like you have this really cool moment where you've saved up a bunch of abilities and comboed them together. But if you're somebody who just wants to log in and kind of mindlessly go at it, I think in like Mythic Plus situations, especially with this build, which a lot of players have been running on the beta at the moment, you just basically do an insane amount of AoE damage. Your Apex talents basically make Raptor Strike AoE. You've got talents that make Kill Command AoE. The Flame Fang Pitch resetting your Wildfire Bombs gives you a ton of AoE. Everything is basically just exploding on your screen while you're attacking. Boomstick being reintroduced for the spear attack that we used to have in the War Within. The main difference with Boomstick is that it actually ticks slower, like shotgun, like boom, and then you got to reload, and then boom, and then you got to reload. Whereas the spear one was just hitting really fast, and that is a significant difference there because it gives more time for enemies to crowd control you. So if you accidentally walk into an AoE and get stunned, or if an enemy player stuns you, you're going to lose a lot of value on Boomstick because the damage isn't just like happening immediately there. But it hits really hard, and it does feel very satisfying to press the way that you can kind of turn it around and aim it. And that's kind of like the big like pop-off moment basically for the spec, is pressing takedown and then pressing Boomstick. You're going to notice that your mobility is also significantly reduced, but that's something that all the specializations pretty much across the board are experiencing, and it's mostly because they're lowering the number of mechanics that bosses and dungeons are going to do. They're lowering the amount of crowd control that players have, so it's like this arms race where everything is equally being brought down, but it does initially, when you look at it, feel pretty bad. I think the big utility that I miss is Explosive Trap, but they're taking the knockbacks away from everybody except Ellie Shaman and Druid, I believe. I think those are literally the only knockbacks left in the game. But Hunter with no knock just feels like it's Gesundheit. It just does not feel the same. It just does not feel the same. I definitely miss having that. I think that, especially in like Battlegrounds at least, I don't know so much for PvE as far as knockbacks maybe being too disruptive or something like that, towards like clumping mobs together for AoE. But like in Battlegrounds, making plays with knockbacks is like sometimes the only way to actually like win an objective was knockbacks, and those are pretty much all gone. So I'm a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, it's like part of the disarmament. Maybe those are some things that can come back into the future. I kind of hope that they do. Another thing is that Roar Sacrifice is a PvE talent now, and its cooldown's been doubled, and it doesn't provide the same effect. It's only a 15% damage reduction now, but 50% of the damage is taken by your pet, and it can cause your pet to die in a lot of instances. And I can imagine in PvE, like pretty fast. But even in PvP, it can cause your pet to die. And I noticed this is like a significant loss in power. Now, you might be thinking like, oh, well, getting a damage reduction cooldown is really good in PvE. It is, but as long as your pet doesn't instantly die with it, which I kind of feel like it probably will. And then in PvP, it doesn't have the unique flavor that it used to have. So as depressing as it sounds, I kind of hope at least for PvP we get a PP talent that maybe restores it back to its previous functionality. Because at the moment it just felt very, very weak as it is as a 2-minute cooldown, just not really providing the same type of utility. But obviously if you're a fire mage player or something, you know, that crits all the time, you're pretty happy to see this because you don't have to worry about that anymore. You can just absolutely bowl over and do just a bunch of damage with that mechanic. We're also losing roots, and basically, like, in my opinion at least, Tar Trap is like not even worth going for in a lot of cases because you already have a slow with concussive shot and wing clip, honestly. And even concussive shot, you got to like path through a lot of extra talents in order to get it, and then extra talents to make it really effective. So like you have been stripped of a lot of control. You really have lost a lot of control. So if you like that control play style, it's not going to feel the same. To me, it kind of feels more like a grenade throwing Fury Warrior at the moment is the best way that I can describe it, at least when you're going off on the training dummy. So like that big combo I was talking about, where you can use takedown, which hits honestly pretty hard, and then boomstick and get that kind of classic combo. That's going to give you a bunch of burst damage, a little bit of tip the spears charges as well. The flame pitch honestly looks really cool, has a cool animation, cool sound effect also when you're comboing it in there. And then the Raptor Strike kind of proc that gives you that extra AoE on the ground is pretty nice. Without the Flame Fang pitch, though, to reset your Wildfire Bomb, your rotation can feel very kind of just stationary. So me personally, I think that this is probably the build that I'm going to be playing in most cases. But if they end up nerfing it or making it not so viable, then it's going to be pretty tough in order to play that off. Now, so I think for Mythic Plus or PvE, this is going to be just a kind of feels good AoE spam spec. It's a little bit more complicated in my opinion, and I'm thankful that they at least brought the tip the spear mechanic back, because without it, it was like brutally simple. I think it's kind of like a wait and see as far as, are they going to bring any utility back or any of the crowd control effects back that they previously removed? Because if they don't, it might feel like really pruned in that sense. So, but this build, I've been having a lot of fun with it. Here's it is in the talents if you guys want to take it. Again, it focuses on just making sure bombs are on cooldown, using Flame Fang here to reset them, and then using the takedown boomstick combo to be giving you like a really big burst AoE moment. And this has been the build that I think has been feeling the best so far, at least for me. Now, obviously, if you're going like full PvP, you'd probably want to modify the class talents a little bit. I think getting concussive shot is going to be pretty important. Getting binding shot, stun extension is going to be pretty important. And a lot of these extra things that, you know, AoE purge, maybe not so much as important. You might want to change these. But rotationally, this build has been feeling actually pretty good. It's definitely good in PvE. Would recommend it for PvP. And that's basically the breakdown of it. That's like the gist of it. It's a lot simpler than it was, but I think it's still more complicated than a lot of the other specs, just because they did bring back the tip the spear mechanic, at least it feels like survival still, at least. Otherwise, it would have literally just been a Fury Warrior throwing grenades onto the ground. Sorry, I'm coughing a little bit here. They did recently return a lot of the mobility down to lower cooldowns, which is nice. But the range reduction on takedown from 15 yards is noticeable. You're not able to just like fly across the battle as you were previously. But at least with this build, you still have like a decent amount of range damage, and I do believe it was their goal to, you know, simplify the complexities and the nuance and the playstyle of a lot of specializations. So it still feels like the original Survival Hunter flavor, but if you've been like a main Survival Hunter for a long time, you're probably going to feel like you've lost like a lot of player expression, is the best way that I can describe it. But you're not like the worst prune, and I think you're, as far as numbers are concerned around the beta, you're like a pretty good top performer. You're going to be doing a very high amount of damage and feeling strong right now in the beta. But that's the breakdown for it. It's about a moderate level of difficulty, probably like easy to moderately easy onto the tier there compared to a lot of other melee DPS. It's got great performance with the way that its kit and its talents are structured. I would think it's really tough for this to not end up being good in Mythic Plus, and even in PvP at the moment, at least with the damage output that it's got on Takedown and Boomstick. I think that it's doing very good there as well. And the changes to Harpoon, bring it back down to 20 so you can actually get your freezing traps off more consistently, definitely are going to help it a lot. But it's mostly just the pathing on the tree to a lot of abilities that are pretty core, at least in PvP situations. They're obviously not that core in PvE, so maybe this won't change if that's the case. And then losing the root on Tar Trap and with the pathing of it makes it just like very challenging. The only other thing too is I don't know why they introduced a new ability, Hatchet Toss. It's not even on my bar with this build because if you don't play Pack Leader, you don't press it. So they wanted to reduce like ability bloat, but this ability literally only exists if you use Pack Leader. So I feel like it should be tied to the hero talent tree and not a baseline ability. If that makes any sense, because if you don't have the talent, where is it that increases the damage of it? This one, it's like not even really worth pressing in any case. So it seems a little bit strange. I feel like they should maybe move that over here into Pack Leader or consider its place, or basically just change that so it makes Kill Command do it instead, because it's like the only time that you're going to press it. It's like just a little bit of an excessive extra ability kind of just sitting there on the side at the moment. But I think if you want Mythic Plus, like this guy's gonna deliver you a really good time, really good performance there. And then even in PvP, although right now from my testing, BM Hunter and Marksman do really good. So like it's going to be kind of tough just because you're a melee DPS and having limitations on like your interrupt to melee range like that is likely going to impede you at least a little bit there. But I would say it's decent. I'd say it's like in a solid position considering the condition of most specializations, but just veteran players I think are going to notice a significant drop in skill expression. So if you're a new player or trying for the first time, that's basically the same thing. I think you're going to have a pretty easy experience kind of jumping into it and having to go at it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown and this discussion for the Survival Hunter. I'm going to be covering all of the specializations here on the channel. We cover all the news as well that's related to the game. So if any class changes are coming up and you want to know what's going on and making sure that you're staying in the know and the now, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown and I will see you in the next one.